Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are going to embark on a seriously fascinating journey. We're going to discover how tiny, almost completely invisible daily actions can totally reshape your entire life. We often think that to drastically change our lives, we have to make these massive, sweeping overhauls, right? But what if the exact opposite is true? What if the real secret to a deeply fulfilling, healthy, and resilient life is actually hidden in habits so small that most people just completely overlook them?
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever actually stopped to wonder why Japan has one of the longest life expectancies in the entire world? Or, why their sprawling cities manage to remain incredibly spotless? Why do so many people there seem so remarkably calm, focused, and just purposeful in their daily lives?
Well, spoiler alert, it is not genetics. It's not just incredibly good luck. And it certainly isn't about dramatic overnight transformations. The real secret lies in tiny habits. See, in Japan, there's this ingrained understanding that when everyone moves in harmony, when people perform really small, consistent actions that compound over years, the entire society elevates. They rise together. And today, we're going to break down exactly what those habits are and how you can actually use them.
All right, Pillar 1, Purpose and Progress. We're kicking things off with a concept called Kaizen, and honestly, this might be the absolute most powerful concept you'll ever learn. Kaizen basically translates to continuous improvement, but actually, scratch that. It's not the kind where you overhaul your entire life on New Year's Day and then totally burn out by February. No, it's all about removing the friction of those massive overhauls. Fun fact, this is exactly how Toyota became one of the most successful car manufacturers on the planet. Not by changing everything at once, but by encouraging every single worker to find just one tiny thing to improve every single day.
The entire goal here is simply being 1% better every day. Just 1%. If you want to get in shape, please don't commit to a grueling hour at the gym right out of the gate. Do one push-up. Seriously, just one. It's so easy you literally cannot say no to it. Want to read more? Read exactly one page a day. That is 365 pages a year. Kaizen makes improvement completely invisible until the compounding results just become absolutely undeniable.
Now, this gentle forward motion feeds directly into another amazing concept, which is Ikigai. This translates beautifully to your reason for being. If we look at the centenarians in Okinawa, a region where people routinely live past 100 years old, almost everyone there can explicitly tell you what their Ikigai is. And it's not necessarily some grand ambition to save the world. It could just be tending a garden, or maybe teaching a specific skill to a grandchild. Having this Ikigai keeps your body going, keeps your energy up, and actively prevents rapid aging, simply because you have a genuine reason to get out of bed in the morning.
So the crucial point is, Ikigai is found right at the intersection of four vital elements. Take a look at these: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs from you, and how you can be paid for it. I want you to actively pause right now, instead of just drifting through life on autopilot, and really ask yourself these four questions. You don't need all the answers today, for sure, but just asking them sets you on the path to finding your own Ikigai.
Moving right along to Pillar 2, Health and Harmony.
To maintain that internal harmony, we have to look to an incredibly simple yet brilliant dietary rule from Okinawa called Hara Hachi Bu. It simply means, eat until you are 80% full. Why is this so vital? Well, because your brain actually takes about 20 whole minutes to register that your stomach is full. Think about that. If you eat until you feel completely stuffed, you have already vastly overeaten. Eating on autopilot like that just leads to sluggishness, inflammation, and honestly, accelerated aging. By intentionally stopping at 80%, you are basically practicing a slight calorie restriction, and that has been scientifically linked to an extended lifespan in pretty much every single species ever studied. So I challenge you. Halfway through your very next meal, just pause. Check in with your body. Ask yourself if you could stop right then and feel perfectly fine. It's just a tiny shift, from feeling restricted to having pure mindful awareness. Beyond just what we eat, there is Shinrin-yoku, which translates to forest bathing. In Japan, doctors will literally prescribe this as medicine. I kid you not. It is the incredibly simple act of walking slowly in nature without any distractions. No phone, no podcast playing in your ear, no step-counting goals on your watch. Just being present. This practice physically shifts your entire body from a stressful state of fight or flight right into a calm rest and digest state.
And the science backing this up is absolutely wild.
When you are surrounded by trees, you actually breathe in these airborne compounds called phytocides, which trees release to protect themselves from insects. Breathing these in physically resets your nervous system. It lowers your cortisol, decreases your blood pressure, and actually boosts your immune system. Finding a local park or even just a tree-lined street for this could genuinely be the most important hour of your entire week.
Which brings us to Pillar 3, resilience and connection.
When it comes to resilience, we really have to embrace Wabi-sabi. This is the deep acceptance and true appreciation of imperfection. You see, a cracked teacup isn't broken, it is lived in. A weathered, scratched wooden table, that is full of rich history. Wabi-sabi frees us from this totally exhausting, endless pursuit of the impossible.
Here in the West, we are constantly obsessed with flawless skin, perfect bodies, and these highly curated, entirely fake social media feeds. It is exhausting, and quite frankly, it's just a lie. Wabi-sabi, on the other hand, teaches us that progress is inherently messy. A mistake you made last week or a new wrinkle on your face, those aren't flaws to be hidden away. They are undeniable proof that you are actively out there living.
This quiet acceptance of life's messiness requires something called Gaman. It means endurance with dignity. It's the quiet ability to tolerate difficulty without complaint. You know, in a modern world where everyone seems to broadcast every single minor struggle online for sympathy and likes, Gaman is this profound, quiet strength. It stops the narrative of being a helpless victim and simply says, yeah, this is hard, but I can handle it.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is understanding that gamma is absolutely not toxic positivity. It is not about simply denying your pain or burying your very real feelings. Instead, it is the active choice not to let your suffering define who you are. You don't need a digital audience to validate your struggles. You just take responsibility and consciously choose how you respond.
In that internal dignity, it naturally extends outward into Omoyari, which is compassionate consideration. It's all about anticipating the needs of others before they even have to ask. If you go to Japan, you see this literally everywhere. People speaking so quietly on trains just so they don't disturb anyone else. When you make life easier for the people around you, you create this incredible ripple effect. Trust increases, collective stress plummets, and surprisingly enough, by focusing outward, your own personal problems begin to shrink and you just become a happier person.
All right, our final section, the art of repair. All of these concepts we've talked about culminate in Kintsugi. This is the traditional Japanese art of repairing broken pottery, but not with invisible clear glue. They use brilliant, shining gold. When a bowl breaks in Japan, they don't just toss it in the trash. They repair the cracks and actually highlight them. This is such a breathtakingly beautiful metaphor for life. When you fail or when you get hurt, you don't throw yourself away. You repair those cracks and you honor them as a vital, beautiful part of your unique story.
The strongest people aren't the ones who never broke. They're the ones who broke and rebuilt themselves. If you happen to be going through a really hard time right now, please just remember this. You are not damaged goods. You are being actively transformed into something wiser, stronger, and more profoundly beautiful than you ever were before. Don't hide your scars. Let that gold shine.
So building your intentional life.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how you start building this intentional life. These principles we've covered, Kaizen, Ikigai, Hara Hachi Bu, Shinrin-yoku, Wabi-sabi, Gaman, Omoyari, and Kintsugi. These are not quick, overnight life hacks. They are deeply intentional choices built over the course of a lifetime. So please, do not try to adopt all 8 of these habits tomorrow morning. That completely defeats the whole purpose of Kaizen. Pick just one tiny habit. Start incredibly small, so small you literally can't fail. Let it become a quiet, mastered part of who you are. And then, only then, add another.
So, I want to leave you with this final, vital question. Which tiny habit will you start today? Remember, the secret to massive, life-altering change isn't doing more. It is doing tiny things consistently. If this explainer shifted how you view your daily routines, make sure to hit subscribe for more insights. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you next time.